We're gonna start out with It Follows, but with Phantasm's characters, okay? Huge spoiler alert for like every single movie I talk about. You should watch Phantasm if you haven't watched that. If you haven't seen It Follows, then like, you could watch it. Phantasm, if you don't remember the ending, they trap the tall man in a mine shaft. They like trick him into falling down it, and they bury it with boulders. If you put those characters versus the It Follows characters, for one thing, the It Follows monster walks very slowly. Tall man seems to be indestructible. I mean, he comes back in each movie. He also like dies several times in the first one. But they figure out how to beat him, kind of, by trapping him at the bottom of the mine shaft. If you do that to the thing in It Follows, what the freak is it gonna do, you know? Regardless, those characters are much smarter and actually tried to beat the monster rather than do some stupid plan. They already knew bullets didn't work on it in It Follows. I don't know what they were thinking electrocution would do. Whatever. The next movie we're going to talk about is 1408. This one is a little different, and here's the thing I have my theory about this movie. Any movie character placed in that room instead of that character who was in there would have probably ended up dying. Which is clearly shown in the movie because no one has ever survived that hotel room. And depending on which ending you see, neither does the main character. Watch the one where he survives. That's the good ending. What was I saying? Something. No character would survive 1408 because it's not really a physical being you fight. It more like just messes with your mind and tries everything it can do to kill you. He probably shouldn't have survived either. I don't know why the fire thing works. Watch 1408. I'm sorry, I'm not even gonna spoil it. Watch 1408. That one's pretty good. He's not very of a sound mind, but he's also he's a very skeptical person. He doubts his own reality. He thinks he's been drugged. And once he figures out that it's probably not a trip, I can't think of a single character who would do well in that situation. If you can think of someone, maybe Snake Plissken. That's not a horror movie character, but it's close enough. It's John Carpenter. He's pretty tough, so I guess he wouldn't like probably break down enough to kill himself. Or maybe he'd be like, screw this, I'll kill myself. This one, you take Ghostbusters, and we're gonna switch both, okay? If you put the Ghostbusters in The Conjuring, I don't think those are the kind of ghosts you can fight with lasers. They never fought anything like that in Ghostbusters. And if you put Conjuring in Ghostbusters, I want to see how they do against Zool, you know? Without a proton blaster or whatever it's called. Blaster, thinking about laser gun. Lightsaber, I think is what it's called. I don't think they would do nearly as well. And I don't think the Ghostbusters cast without a priest would do very well in Conjuring. Yeah. So you take the cast of Shaun of the Dead, right? And you put it in 28 Days Later. 2 British zombie horror movies. I don't know what would happen if you put the 28 Days Later cast of Shaun of the Dead. It's still like zombies are dangerous no matter what, and it's kind of luck of the draw on how soon you figure out that they're zombies. But if you put the cast of Shaun of the Dead in 20 Days Later, they don't survive anything, I don't think. They wouldn't make it through literally the first day. There's like a 20-second transformation in 20 Days Later. So when Sean's walking to the convenience store, those zombies would be sprinting after him. When the zombie breaks in through the back door, or the front door, that zombie would have killed them very quickly. The girl in the backyard would have sprinted them down, and they were completely inept. If they had been given time, and they had been given a warning, you know, I don't think 20 Days Later is honestly the worst case scenario. They're not the hardest zombies to beat. That's still probably either Return of the Living Dead or World War Z. World War Z doesn't deserve it though, but technically speaking, yeah, those ones would be awful, and I don't know how anyone would survive that. And Return of the Living Dead, they're impossible to kill, but it's not so bad being a zombie, I feel like, in those ones. And so yeah, this is an important tangent. This confession has meant nothing. I will think of something deep to say. No, I probably won't.